When you're solving quadratic trinomials, the first thing you do, can anyone remember? There's three numbers. The first number, the middle number, and the number at the end. The first number, A, believe it or not, is 3. The second number, which is usually referred to as B, is equal to? What is the second number?
13.
No, it doesn't. It's not 13. It's minus 13. And the C, the third number, is minus 10. Now, you might want to write notes to self. I never write this because I'm assuming you already know it. You always multiply the first by the last. What is the first number? It's 3. What is the last number? Negative 10. What is the answer? And the answer is minus 30. And that is step number 1. Step number 2 is write down all the factor pairs. So step number 2 is you need to do what you did in first year. That's why you did it in first year. And I think we've been doing factor pairs this year as well. You're doing the factor pairs not for 30, but for minus 30, which means one of the pairs has to be minus and the other one has to be a plus. Now, I'm very boring because I start off with the minus. So the pair is minus 1 and 30. Now I move to minus 2. Use a calculator if you have to. What's the other pair got to be? 15. 2 15s are 30. Does 3 go in?
Yeah.
How many times?
5. 1 of 10.
You have to get it right. Use the calculator if necessary. Does 4 go in? So you skip it. Does 5 go in? So it's minus 5. How many times did it go in? 6 times. The next number I'd be doing would be 6. Complete waste of time because I've already got it, technically. Then, if I'm teaching students for the first time, and because you're mucked up and I am teaching for the first time, I say, do the other pairs. Most of you don't need to do this. Most of you don't need to do this. And if you don't feel you need to do this when you're coming to do the questions, then don't. Just get them right. But if you're a nervous individual and you're not sure about this and you want to accrue method marks in the exam, you do the other pairs as well. To get the other pairs, no thought involved. What am I doing with the signs? The opposite, you remember. So therefore it's going to be 1 and minus 30, 2 and minus 15, 3 and minus 10, and 5 and minus 6. Now this method that I'm presenting to you has got a special name. It's called the guide method. And the guide number, well, I think you can actually guess what the guide number is. If I've already used the first number and I've already used the third number, then the only number left is the one in the middle, the second number. So what is the number in the middle? Minus 13. And then we're on to step number 3. Add pairs. Now you're adding the pairs in your head. You're not showing any working out. And you're adding them together, and guess what? What must they add up to?
0.
Well, I've just put a guide number down. I've put a dirty, great big circle around it. And that number is minus 13. So, and which pair of numbers, when you change the comma into a plus sign, add up to give minus 13? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. What's minus 2 plus 15? What's minus 2 plus? It's 13. So if you picture that building, you're on basement 2. When you're adding on, you're moving up. So I'm going to put a circle around it. I'm going to put a circle around it. If I was in the exam, I might just highlight it now. Sorry, it would be nice if I highlighted the right one. Do you know what? I think I'll stick with what we would do in the exam. I'll put a circle around it. Didn't work very well. Just press on the highlighter. Does that give minus 13? No, it doesn't. But it gives us a massive clue, doesn't it? Doesn't it give us a massive clue? Does it not tell us that that doesn't? It gives us 13. Therefore, this must be the right answer. So, have I added the pairs and got the right answer? The answer is yes. Now, step number 4 is very straightforward. Step number 4 is split middle value, split middle term, split the middle term. So now this is the first time I'm going up to here, and I can't put an equal sign because I've already got an equal sign in the problem. 3x squared stays the same. I'm splitting the middle term. That number there is a 2, isn't it? So it's a plus 2. Plus 2 what? Plus 2x. Why is it a plus 2x? Because x is the middle term. And then the next number is minus 15. Minus 15 what? X, because I'm splitting the x term. And then I've got a minus 10, and then I've got an equal to 0. And then you've got the fifth rule, which is factorise in pairs. And this is where we cheat. What's the common factor for 3 and 2? There isn't one. Well, you could argue there is one. It's 1. What's the common factor for x squared and x? X. So the common factor is x. So I open up a bracket. X is the common factor. I need to start asking people questions, to be totally honest with you. I need to start asking people questions. Matthew, what's left behind in the bracket if I take out the value of x?
3x.
Good man. And double check. What's 3x times x? Well, 1 times 3 is 3, x times x, x squared. Well done, excellent. What's left if I take x out as a common factor from plus 2x? If I take the x out as a factor, what's left behind? 2. Now, don't say 2, plus 2. Good man, plus 2. Now, you need to listen very carefully, because this is the way I do it. I cheat. I don't look at the next part of the problem at all. I always put a minus there, which is sometimes wrong. I leave a gap, and I put a bracket the same size as the original bracket, and I put equal to 0. And I learned a trick when I was doing this. Wasn't taught this as a student. We were taught a much harder method. First time I learnt this was when I first started teaching. And I researched it and thought, I'm not teaching the way I was taught, because it was too hard. Now, the trick is, get the first bracket right. If you get the first bracket right, guess what's in the second bracket? The same thing. So you put the same thing in the second bracket. You get the first bracket wrong, you're in real trouble. You're getting 0. You must get the first bracket right. Now, don't look at the signs. Whatever you do, don't look at the signs. Just look at the numbers. What goes into 15 and 10? What's the highest number that goes into 15 and 10? Right, 5. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to check, does the minus work? What's a minus 5 on a plus 3? It works. Minus 15. So is my minus sign correct on this one occasion?
Yeah.
It is. So now I know that there's going to be 2 brackets. So in one bracket it must be 3x plus 2, and in the second bracket, have a guess.
X minus 5.
Well done, Maggot, well done. X minus 5. Now, the next big issue is that is what you did in September. except there was no equal sign, equals 0. You did that in September. The only thing that's new is what you do next. And it's called the method of zeros. Use a bit of common sense. If something times another something is equal to 0, what could that something be? What's the only thing it can be? 0. So therefore, I can write down 3x plus 2 could be 0. Or, if something times another something is equal to 0, what could this something be? It could be 0. For example, 0 times 3 is 0. 5 times is also 0. So either one or the other or both must be equal to 0. So therefore, I've now got x minus 5 could also be equal to 0. What have I got now? Linear equations. What's the rule for linear equations? Letters on the left and numbers on the right. So staying or going, staying or going? Staying. Then there's any more x's anywhere? No. So then there's an equal sign. Staying or going? So it's minus 2. 3x equals minus 2. What do I have to do to get rid of a multiply by 3? What do I have to do to get rid of a multiply by 3? Divide by 3. Divide both sides by 3. That 3 cancels. What does x equal? Minus 2 over 3. And then here, I've got x on one side, number on the other. So I have to have x on one side, number on the other. So is the x staying or going? Staying. Is the minus 5 going? Yeah, because it's an ordinary number. So what have I got? X equals 5.